You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Dog Pound Podcast, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Guys, if you're enjoying the video content on the YouTube channel, I almost couldn't even talk there, but give us a like, hit subscribe, smash that bell icon for all updates on videos that get released on our channel, and you guys can like us and listen to us on demand on whatever platform you're listening to us right now. We're available on all of your favorite listening platforms. I don't know what yours is, Kyle, but I'm thinking Spotify is the way to go these days.
I have an iPhone and I listen to Spotify. I don't even think I've ever used Apple Music.
Well, for the people that are on Apple Music, let's not shun them out. Let's give them a shout out.
Or is it? I think it's separate though, darn it. Isn't like Apple Podcast separate thing from Apple Music?
I've got no idea. I don't even. I'm gonna get in trouble if I say how do I get my music.
Apple Podcasts or Spotify are like the main, thing. No one's saying that. You know, I know we mention it, but I've never met someone come up to me and go, oh, yeah, listen to this podcast on Deezer. You know, it's like, what? Deezer? Okay, I can say something about Deezer, but I won't.
Another place you can find us, guys, on the NiagaraIceDogs.net website. Go to the media tab, and then you can find us right under there. We have our own Dog Pound podcast page, and you can get redirected to anything there for all of our content.
Yeah.
All of our episodes get posted on there. Excuse me. Oh, just finished eating dinner. But
wow.
We'll get through this episode, guys. And again, make sure you're following us at Dog Pound Podcast. It's the most important. All of our updates and all of our Dog Pound stuff is going to be on the Twitter account. Follow us at Armchair GM Pod, and then you can like us on Instagram and Facebook as well if you still use those platforms. But mostly Twitter is where you're going to find out most of our updates for the show.
As long
and
as
the network.
Twitter's standing and Elon Musk doesn't shut it down.
You don't have the blue check mark yet, Kyle?
I didn't pay for that. You kidding me? It's like a fad. It's such a fad, and he got rid of it, so it didn't last that long.
Yeah, great job, Elon Musk. Great job. Trying to think here. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, yeah. Guys, if you've been following us on social media, I got a lot to go through today. My head's all, jumbled up. But, guys, I didn't have a graphic for it. Forgot to put it up. But we did win Reader's Choice Awards for the second year in a row. Thank you very much to everybody who voted for us.
Two-time.
I feel like Chris Jericho when he was holding up like the undisputed belts, where he would make them look so heavy when he was doing that back in the day.
I'll just crop your head on that.
Okay, cool.
And I'll put the Reader's Choice logo on both belts.
That's gonna look horrible.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for voting us best local podcast here in the Niagara region for Niagara Falls and St. Catharines. Big step for us. New award. We wanted to really win this one. Local entertainment last year was great, but now that we actually have like a podcast category for exactly what we do here, we really appreciate it. So thank you to everybody who helped us win that in the best local business Reader's Choice Awards for 2022. So let's get into Kyle. Again, we're going to get into this week in IceDogs history later on in the show in episode 2 of Cato's Corner, not to overshadow either of those. But the big news this week was the firing of the head coach of the Niagara IceDogs, Daniel Fitzgerald. And before we get into it, Kyle, I want to preface this by saying that if you're expecting us to do a hit piece today on Daniel Fitzgerald, then you've come to the wrong place. We have a lot of respect for, Fitzy, and everything. There you go, Kyle. One last time, give him a Fitzy.
I gave him one.
There you go. So, again, he was always great to us when it came to our content. He was always, even after some tough nights and tough losses, he always came out and talked to us. He was always enthused about what we were doing, and always gave us great access to the players and on the road as well. So first, we want to give a shout out to Daniel Fitzgerald and wish him the best in wherever he goes next with his coaching career. And just a great man on and off the ice. Going to miss talking to him about hockey and not about hockey. But the IceDogs lost a good person today or yesterday, and it's just one of those decisions, Kyle. It's part of the game, but sometimes it can be a cruel game. But wish Fitzy all the best and whatever's next for him.
Yeah, God, do we ever have like an eventful week to talk about this? Not only about what happened with the Dogs the last 2 games, just now this coming into Tuesday's podcast that we're recording this on, and oh man, it sucks because you said it. Fitzy was a great person. Just meeting him and talking to him, even just chatting with him about the team and everything else, he was a really great guy. And, we do wish him well in his future endeavors, and we hope it's, everything and more when it comes to this sport. And it's unfortunate because it's just, we see this happen not only just the OHL, it's a common thing in hockey where, when a team's doing bad, there's always like the one person to get fired, right? And unfortunately it ends up being the head coach. It's you really can't say much else on this situation. Again, like you said, it's not a hit piece because we have no animosity towards head coach or former head coach Daniel Fitzgerald. I think he did a great job. It's just the way it is kind of thing. And then we get his replacement, who I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
So
it looks like I'm gonna have to get a confirmation of his last name. And of course, I see the interim coach's name, and I'm like, of course, it's a name that I'm gonna have to wait to hear a pronunciation for. Because Fitzgerald was easy.
Yeah.
But this one,
So I'll read the statement, Kyle, while we're on that subject, from the IceDogs and from general manager and owner Darren DeDobler. Got it up on the screen for you guys. It was a very difficult decision. This is a performance-based position, and we felt that our team is a lot better than our record shows. Daniel is one of the highest character people I have known, and this was a difficult decision to make. They wish Daniel Fitzgerald all the best in future endeavors. Jeff Angelidis will serve as the interim head coach. Angelidis is coming from the Brantford 99ers coaching staff. The native Milton began his hockey career in the OPJHL and was a student athlete in the NCAA. And he's coached in the GTHL, the GOJHL, and the OJHL. Kyle, I know what the initial reaction from the croutons out there is going to be is, another Brantford 99ers guy, but our
affiliation, like it's people are just gonna have to build the bridge and get over it already, man. Like honestly, like Brantford, yeah, their affiliation. Everything's gonna come from Brantford. The owners from Brantford, get over it. It's gonna happen.
And it's only interim, guys. So again,
interim.
We don't know how long that's gonna be. If it's the rest of the season, if it's a couple months, whatever it is, I'm sure. They're going to give the new coach an opportunity here to see what he's got with the team, but this doesn't mean that it's permanent. So, again, like, people are just going to go out there and flip out, but, I mean, if they were going to make this decision, did you just not want them to have a coach before they went out and figured out who the right hire was? Like, you have to have somebody behind the bench, and
people act like this is the only time this has ever happened in any sport. Like, there's always an interim coach.
And from what we know, Coach Rasico and Coach Shaw will remain behind the bench. There'll be no further changes at this time. But again, it was just a shock for us yesterday when we heard the news. I was on the road trip in Kingston and Ottawa, and I actually did a weekend wrap up with Coach Fitzgerald. But we're not going to play that on today's episode, obviously, just because, again, we don't think we don't think it would be appropriate to kind of, try to do that to Fitzy. He's no longer here. But yeah, it was just a shock and part of the business, but it's going to be the thing that everybody's going to be talking about this week. And it's, again, we wish Fitzy the best because he's a very, very bright mind, and we really believe that he had, a vision for this team the way he wanted them to play, and the results just weren't there. And unfortunately, like Darren said in the statement, it's a results-based business. Although, put aside our feelings about the head coach, it's just, a lot of moves were made and a lot of expectations were put on this team right from the get-go, and they didn't exceed or reach those expectations after a very hot start after the first week or so. And it culminates with this 17 games in. So
I think Darren's correct, though, when he does say that, the record doesn't reflect what this team has the ability to do. And we've said that for weeks here on the show since the beginning of the season, that once all those trades were made and we've seen what these kids can do, and we've watched a lot of them for years now, we know they have the potential to be better than what their record reflects right now. So, maybe it is a coaching change. As much as we love Fitzy and we think that he was in a good spot and he had a good vision for what this team could be, it's a shame that it happened, but we got to move on. And, I'm still going to believe that this team still has the potential to be a top team in the league and a top competitive team. And, maybe the coaching change is going to help. We'll have to see. We have an interim coach right now. That means he's not going to be the head coach for long as of, right now. Things could change. We never know. But I'm sure there will be interviews with new coaches. And when that guy comes in or girl, we'll see what happens, right? And we'll hopefully be able to get to talk to them and see what they're about, and hopefully get you guys an interview quickly for you guys so you guys can get to know the new coach, because they're going to get put right into it. There's no off season now, right? Like as soon as they hire a new coach, it's like day one they come in and they got to do something with the team, right?
They've got no time really to implement their systems right away. It's going to be a quick turnaround here with 2 games this week, and we're still trying to we'll figure out at the rank if we can, figure out something with Rick Walmsley. We still want to talk to him about his experience and what he's going to bring to this team. It was a big hire for them, bringing in a guy that has all that NHL experience with the Senators and the Blues and his playing career as a goaltender. So we'll try to figure out kind of where Rick stands with all this and kind of what kind of role he's going to play behind the scenes and moving forward. I don't really know if he had anything to do with evaluating Fitzy's coaching or anything like that. Again, we're not going to make any judgments or any rumors or anything like that. But it's, again, I don't think this decision comes after a bad weekend. I think it's just been an accumulation of, this team's been in a downward spiral the last 3 weeks or so, and it's hard to see like it's slipping already. They're back down to 10th place in the Eastern Conference, and again, I guess this is trying to stop the bleeding, but again, it's
especially because Darren's vision for this team, he wants them to be a competitive enough team. So what he really wants to do that Memorial Cup bid, and Memorial Cup bid. And if he's going to do a Memorial Cup bid, then you got to have a competitive team. And right now, his team's not looking anywhere close to a competitive Memorial Cup team. So that's also falling on Darren's head as well when he's looking at his team going in this downward spiral. He's got to do something to put a stop to it. So it's a shame. Again, there's no animosity against Fitzy. We thought he was a great coach. It's just the way it is. It's the business and it's the game. You're just gonna have to live with it, move on, and we'll see what happens. Keep cheering on the team. Keep having high hopes for them, guys. This is no time to give up on the team again. I know technically it's not early, but it's still early enough that there's still lots of season left. So they can turn this around. Like I said it a couple of weeks ago. The 2015-16 IceDogs were in like dead last and had like 2 wins or 2 or 3 wins in the month of October and November, and they still ended up winning and coming back and making the playoffs. So it is doable.
Yeah, so I don't think anybody right now is happy with the way things are going, coaching staff, front office, players, and maybe this is the spark that they need to kind of get things going, but we'll have to wait and see with that. Kyle, let's quickly talk about the Twitter polls and get those out of the way and just kind of talk about the games. Biggest IceDogs area of concern through the 2-game weekend: 13 goals against, shorthanded 11 times, are being outshot 87-56. The Twitter poll results: 13 goals against was the winner, I guess you can call it, 41.2%. Somebody actually said all of the above, so I guess that could have been an option too. Twitter poll number 2 was biggest IceDogs positive to take from the 2-game weekend. two-game weekend in Kingston and Ottawa. 5 for 6 on the penalty kill versus a number 1 ranked Ottawa power play. Keane's 6-game point streak. Castle scoring his 10th goal of the season, and Waddick scoring in back-to-back games this weekend. 5 for 6 on the PK versus Ottawa was the winner at 45.12%. Coming in second was Castle scoring his team-leading 10th goal. And then the final Twitter poll of the week was your reaction to the news yesterday about the IceDogs head coaching change. The decision was not surprising, surprising, or very surprising. Not surprising one was 68.6%. So, Kyle, just thoughts on the Twitter polls and just kind of talking about the games in general.
So the biggest area of concern one, that was led by the 13 goals against at 41%. Yeah, I'd say that's more of a concern than being outshot. I've seen this IceDog team in the winning days being outshot, and they're still winning games. So it's going to happen. I don't like to see it happen. I think it's still a concern being outshot, but I think the goals against is a very, very big concern, especially because we've said on the show before that, you know, that another area of concern also is their defensive play in their own end hasn't been great. So I think that's a very accurate representation. You know, even though all the above is pretty strong too, because, you know, I don't like all three of those either. Being shorthanded 11 times is not ideal in any world. Positive, I like the 5-on-6 on the PK against Ottawa. I mean, the number 1 seeded Ottawa, you're going 5-on-6 in the PK. That's great because clearly IceDogs give up a lot of power plays. So I think that was a good plus out of the 2 games. Castle, I mean, it's almost like it's natural that he's going to be on the score sheet naturally now every game. So it's still a positive, but I would say that the 5-on-6 PK does outweigh the other 2 or the other 3 answers. And then, yeah, I mean, it was surprising to us, at least, because we, as members of the media and a podcast for the team, official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs, it was surprising for us to see Fitzy leave because, you know, like we said in the beginning, you know, we had a lot of faith in Fitzy and, you know, his vision for this team. So for us, it was surprising. But, you know, there were a lot of fans out there that were like calling for his head on a spear. So to them, they would obviously vote not surprising. So they've been waiting for this day since probably the first loss of the season because they can't take one loss on this team and think the team should go undefeated. But you know, that's another thing.
I also love the people fire the GM. Oh, yeah. Okay, so Darren's going to fire himself as owner and GM of the team. I love that one.
Can you imagine he comes out in like a press conference and announces that he fires himself?
Grabs himself by the collar and like throws himself out like some weird like movie shit. It was just like that comment always fires me up because it's just like it's so like asinine ridiculous that I just at that point I can't. It's like reading global news comments on Twitter, Kyle. Like
it's like reading any comments on Twitter now. Like Twitter is just a cesspool. It's ridiculous. You know, I kind of want Elon Musk to kind of get rid of it.
But then our Dogtown Podcast Twitter account wouldn't be active.
Well, just whatever new social media. You know, we'll bring back MySpace, you know, and then we'll have like a top 10. We'll like Bones number 1.
Man.
We'll have like our boy John Morgan Burns number 2.
Rod Mahood will be on there.
Yeah, Rod Mahood. We can put Teddy Bruschi, Teddy in there. You can be in our top 5.
Yeah, Clarky, all the boys.
We can have, you know, we can have, remember the profile music? We can have Who Let the Dogs Out as our profiles.
You know, this actually sounds like a great idea. Maybe we should bring back MySpace. But, yeah, sorry to cut you off there, but I thought it was good to mention, like, just some of these people on the social media, even Facebook comments, too. Like, it's just...
See, that I would vote not surprising that people would comment on social media. That's not surprising. That's
Everybody's got an opinion on it, again, like we mentioned. But, Kyle, they've given up way too many goals, and now with the coaching change, they've obviously, you know, addressed that things aren't going well. I mean, look at both games against Ottawa, Kingston, behind by a lot, 13 goals against in the 2 games. You continue to take too many penalties.
13-4 in 2 games. That's pretty bad.
Rodwin Denisio takes another unfortunate, you know, penalty that probably cost him.
Oh, Roddy.
Again, like, it's just like the self-inflicted wounds of this team. Like,
yeah,
like they are talented. This is not a team that like last year where we thought, okay, they're going to be undermanned as far as talent goes. Like this team has the talent to do it. And Landon Cato will talk about it later in Cato's Corner. it's like they're finally starting to come together as a unit, but they need to show that more, and they need to show that they can stay disciplined in these important times. Like, you can't give teams like Kingston and Ottawa, especially Ottawa, as the number 1 ranked power play. I know they only allowed 1 out of the 6, but when your penalty killers, like you mentioned last week, are out there and gassed like for that long of time, and that just limits your ability to be on the power play or even be even strength. Like, the guys are just getting too tired out there, and they're trying to, quote unquote, reinvent the wheel, I guess you could say, with the penalty kill. But there's only so much you can do with that. They can only put so many new guys on the penalty kill, and the results still aren't there. They're giving up way too many goals. They're undisciplined. It seems like it was, just a storm that we never saw the end of. And again, we'll see what happens with this decision, but just another rough road trip, and they finish off with 1 win out of 5 games for the 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then the goals will come. We've mentioned on the show before, the goals will come. They really do need to buckle down and focus on those 2 big things, their defensive work and being more disciplined, because those are the 2 things that are killing them the most. They're letting in like an average of 5 or 6 goals a game. That's really bad. That means like your defensive game is not good, and it's not Rosie and Owen's fault. Both of them are stopped. If your goalies are stopping 50 shots each, the problem isn't the goalie. The problem is your defensive end work and getting and watching the Ottawa game. A lot of their goals was just like either laziness or just they didn't look great in their own end. And then being disciplined, they take too many penalties. And, I do understand that some penalties are soft. That's going to happen every game. Your job is to not get into that situation where the referee might call you on a soft penalty and be more disciplined like other teams are. So, I think the main concern is their defensive end work. And then secondly would be penalty kill. The goals will come. They have the players in the team that can put the puck in the net. That's not the issue. The issue is their defensive game. That's a really big thing. And then their discipline.
Yeah, the team defense. Again, this isn't just a knock on the 6 defensemen or 5 defensemen in some games.
No,
4
overall as a unit.
Yeah, like the team defense, like the forwards coming back too. Like, everybody's got to be better as defensively responsible players on the ice, no matter what position you're playing. And you're not going to win many games when you're giving up, like you mentioned, 50 shots a game. It's just some of these teams are too good right now to be able to hold the fort for that that strong a period again. Like, it brings you back to like Alex Nedeljkovic, like standing on his head in the 2016 playoffs. Like, I don't even think Ned being in the net would make a difference. Like, it's just like Rosie and Flores are doing the best that they can out there. Yeah, maybe a goal here or there, but for the most part, there's nothing to blame on the goalies for the goals against right now. It's just the team in general. It doesn't matter who you put in the net right now. I don't think they'd be winning these games.
You mentioned it there, even the Nedeljkovic days. I remember the D-cores back then. They had grit to them. They had that edge that when teams would come into our own zone, they'd be scared to go into the corners with the IceDogs because they would hammer them into the corners and grind for that puck in those corners. The IceDogs were a grindy team back then. I think they need to go back to that and instill that into their defensemen and be those grindy people in the corners, because a lot of teams utilize that nowadays, either the dump and chase or they'll try to go around defensemen and go into those corners. We got to be hard to play against in those corners, because half the time it's just like I see a player go in and try to stick their stick in it and they skate away. There's nothing much to it, and that's not gonna help. And then you see what happens. Teams take advantage of that. They collapse you in tight, and then they just cycle around the IceDogs until they can find the opening and get a goal. So it's almost the same formula each and every single time, and they're really going to need to work on that. And I really do think that you add a little bit of grittiness to your game, especially in those corners. And it's really tough to say like block more shots, because it's not really ideal is to forcefully block your shot. But when you can, you got to take one for the team. Like Mason Howard, of all people that I have to bring up, used to eat block shots for breakfast. Like, he would just sit there and have at least 20 block. If there's an OHL fantasy app and you needed a block shot guy, Mason Howard would be at the top of the list.
Yeah, that's why they called him the Hippo, because he just ate the pucks like in the Hunger Hippos game. But 2 positives to take from the week, Kyle. Jared Keane, 6-game point streak.
He looked great.
He's coming around offensively now from London, and he's on the top power play. I guess that's a positive that he's going into this week with a 6-game point streak.
Yeah, I think he looked great. I think he looked really good in the Kingston game as well. I think that he's really finding his groove with this team, so that's a bonus because we just recently got him not too long ago. So,
yeah, and
good for him. I think he's gonna, again, if he also helps out with that defensive part of the game, I think he's gonna be a really crucial part, being an OA on the team. So, again, he's had a good weekend, but the team really needs to work defensively overall as a unit to help out these D men. When you have the forwards that help your D out at the same time, it creates less stress and puts less stress on the defense to having to carry the load, right? Yeah. So, that was a tough game in Ottawa. I mean, I got to give credit to Ottawa. Looks like they're the best team in the OHL right now, and depending on how the rest of the next 2 months go, they might be the one to go on our run, because they're 16-1 right now, which is absolutely insane. 16-1
after winning the day game against Kingston yesterday, just ridiculous.
And watching that game on Saturday, it was like, oh my God, I don't know if there's going to be a team in the OHL that's going to match up to these guys. I really don't know.
Yeah,
because Ottawa might just be that team this year.
And shout out to Declan Waddick too, back-to-back games, getting the goal. He's up to 6 on the year now, and as a bottom 6 forward, he's definitely pulling his weight and then some on the score sheet.
Yeah, he had a nice goal against Ottawa. That was a really nice goal. I like that.
Yeah, so with that said, guys, let's see where we're at for time. All right, let's take our break now, and we'll come back, and we'll get into Cato's Corner. We'll get into This Week in IceDogs History with Ted Lehman, and get into what's coming up this week for the Niagara IceDogs. 2 more games. Got to keep trucking along here with the season. So stay right here. We'll be right back on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs.
Experience a new way to play daily fantasy sports and esports on Thrive Fantasy. Thrive's game concept revolves around player props, which are simple over-unders on player stats. There are contests for traditional sports including the NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, and cricket, as well as esports titles including CSGO, Dota 2, League of Legends, and more coming soon. Here's how to play. Choose your lineup of over-unders for top-tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. Each prop has a fantasy point total based on how likely it is to hit. The more points a selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points and win a share of the prize pool. Thrive is awarded over $2 million in cash, so come and prop up today.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network, the Niagara region's best local source for North American sports podcasting coverage. By sports fans, for sports fans.
Hey, this is Pasquale Zito, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast.
Zeets giving us the plug, coming back from the break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to today's Dog Pound Podcast episode. Brandon Caputo and Kyle, get back with you here. Again, I actually quickly forgot about this. Shout out to the Pasquale Zito section in Ottawa. He had there was an entire Zito section because he's from Ottawa.
Okay.
There were a ton of Zito jerseys, and we gotta get some more IceDog swag up there in Ottawa. There were too many Windsor Zito jerseys, so we got to get those IceDog ones going. But shout out to his entire family. Coming from an Italian family, I know how big the families can get. So like I said, the whole section 19 was all Zito fans, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to score. But I bet if he did score that game, it would have been like a home crowd reaction, because that whole section would have went nuts. But shout out to them for making the trip out for the support of Pasquale Zito. It was really cool to see.
How was Ottawa's press situation?
It's in the middle of the seats.
That's great.
Of the stands, yeah. With a nice plank there, because the Ottawa arena is very old. And their press boxes are now off limits because the building's so old.
It looks so weird. It looks like a museum from the outside.
Yeah, well, it's attached to the Ottawa Red Blacks football stadium.
Oh,
So it's
so
like
weird.
the whole concourse is like connected. It's a weird place.
What about Kingston? Was that nice?
Kingston's a very nice arena. It's a renovated arena, formerly the K-Rock Center, now called Leon Center. It was where the Tragically Hip played their last concert, being from Kingston.
That's right. Yeah.
They got Gordon Downey stuff all over the place, and quick shout out to them too. They did an unbelievable Remembrance Day pregame. Obviously, with the military base there in Kingston, there was a lot of servicemen and women there, and honoring them for serving our country. They did like a great pregame ceremony. It was like about 15 minutes long, and
Oh, wow.
you know, they had everybody out there. They had a reef at center ice. It was very, very well done, and I'm glad the Ice Dogs were able to play in Kingston for that game, because every year Kingston does a very good job with the Remembrance Day games. So good on them for that. I'm trying to think. Oh, I left my left my computer charger at the Leon Center.
Wow.
So yeah. So I had to buy a brand new charger for my laptop, because decided to leave that plugged in but not plugged into my computer. So then when we took off, I realized when we got to Ottawa, my charger's at the Leon Center. So
They'll be in their Hall of Fame.
Big fail to me there. So whoever's in Kingston, get yourself a free computer charger. And if you want to bring it back down to Niagara when you guys play us later in the year.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be here so fast for you.
My buddy Jimmy,
double.
My buddy Jimmy Gilchrist on the radio broadcast. I'm sure he maybe he'll bring it down for me. I don't know, probably not. But anyways, Kyle, let's jump into our first of two segments on today's show. Firstly, he's back after a week absence after you gave him heck for not having any history.
Thank God.
This week in IceDogs history, with the radio voice of the Niagara IceDogs, Mr. Ted Lehman.
I'm Ted Lehman. Welcome again to another edition of This Week in IceDogs History. This week was all about the art of the deal. Happened on a Thursday night back on November 14th in the year 2014 at the Meridian Center, nationally televised affair. The IceDogs would end up winning 2-1 over the visiting Erie Otters. Brandon Hope would steal the show. IceDogs goaltender made 45 saves in a game when they were outshot by a powerful Erie Otter squad, 46-22, but still, the IceDogs would get that 2-1 victory, but that wasn't the big story. The big story was arriving a little late after being traded by the Windsor Spitfires to the Niagara IceDogs was one Josh Ho-Sang. He came with the move by GM and coach Marty Williamson to the IceDogs for Hayden McCool, second-round picks in 2016, 2018, and 2019. And there was a little bit of controversy, as you remember, associated with it. Warren Reichel of the Spitfires didn't give Josh Ho-Sang a glowing recommendation as he was leaving town, but Marty Williamson to this day will tell you Josh Ho-Sang was one of his all-time favorite IceDogs. And incidentally, 2-1 the final score. Who set up the winner? Scored by none other than Zach Wilkie, the defenseman, but Josh Ho-Sang. And then the art of the deal continues during this week in IceDogs history. Got to move it up to 2018. Happened on the 20th of November. He was the biggest prize for the upcoming trade deadline, which would be more than a month away. But pulling the trigger early, GM Joey Burke picked up Jason Robertson from the Kingston Frontenacs. As well, he got a great defenseman, tremendous rear guard in Jacob Paquette. Going the other way, two players, Billy Constantino and Ian Martin, young defenseman, a young forward, and draft picks like a second and a seventh in 19, a third and a 13th in 20, a second, a fifth, and an 11th in 2021, and in 2022, a second and a third, and then in 23, another second, and London's third-round pick in 2024. Jason Robertson did not disappoint. He was everything you'd want a sniper to be when he was wearing IceDogs colors. It did happen this week in IceDogs history. Just the one birthday to pass along before we say goodnight. Matt Mayoni, one of the original IceDogs, celebrating a birthday coming up this Monday, the 21st of November. He'll celebrate his 32nd, traded before his OHL career came to an end, sent to the Guelph Storm, but just a great young guy, one of the original IceDogs, and an amazing story because Matt Maone ended up in a fabulous career situation playing professional hockey, and he became one of the top scorers on defense in, get this, the KHL. Happy 32nd, Matt Maone. That's This Week in IceDogs History. I'm Ted Lehman. We now return you to your regularly scheduled podcast.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Teddy.
Second installment of This Week in IceDogs History with the longtime radio voice of the Niagara IceDogs, Ted Lehman. I want to give a quick plug to him, Kyle, before we move on. Big week for the radio broadcast of the IceDogs. Starting this Thursday, they will officially be on Country 89's radio station, not just on their website, but if you go to Country 89 on your radio, the IceDog games will be live on Country 89. You can still listen to them on country89.com and giantfm.com. But for all of your IceDog game content, you can go to Country 89 on your radio, and you can listen to Ted Lehman and Rob Hubbard on the call for the home games, and Ted and some random guy who fills in here and there for road games. But Ted does a great job there, and they continue to build their broadcast there on Giant FM Country 89. So big thumbs up to them, and wish them good luck with that on Thursday. It's definitely going to be. I'm sure he's going to have a lot to talk about with the first. I guess the launch of their first radio broadcast on Country 89 itself. So big shout outs to them. But Kyle, it's funny we mentioned, or that he mentioned Jason Robertson. They just played Kingston, and Niagara's played Kingston, but he was a guy they traded for that went on to lead the entire league in points. Looks like that just happened again this year. We spoke during the break. I forgot to mention it. The Peterborough Petes acquired Brennan Othman, the New York Rangers prospect who almost made the Rangers NHL team. Went back to Flint, and Flint was ranked as a highly touted team, and they end up moving Brennan Othman for, people can say, maybe an underwhelming package. Artem Guriev is a prospect of the San Jose Sharks, and they only get like a second and a third round pick. So I feel like, maybe Flint could have got more later on, but they decided to move on from Brennan Othman, and again, just adding another huge addition to the Eastern Conference, and the Petes look like they're primed to compete this year, and they're going to be a team that the IceDogs would have to go through if they ended up making a deep playoff run. And they just acquired probably the guy like Jason Robertson when he was traded, the guy that's going to lead the OHL in points right now, because Othman has just been unbelievable.
Yeah, Petes are sitting in fourth place, 10-6, 1-2. Great trade for them to acquire a guy like Othman to help him out. And it's a smart trade. It's a very, very smart trade for the Peterborough Petes. Now, it's not no Ty Voigt, who actually leads the league in points right now.
Yeah,
but Othman sitting at number 8 with 24 points. Not too bad either, and he's in the top 10 for points. So big trade for Peterborough. Congrats, and they already have Connor Lockhart, who's also in the top 10.
Who they also traded for from Erie.
Points. Yeah,
so they made 2 big trades to acquire those.
And they have Tucker Robertson at number 11 for points. So they're building up their team for a deep run. So good for them. And you never know. Well, I mean, the IceDogs, if they can quickly turn it around before the deadline, maybe they make a trade at the deadline that brings in someone from another team, right?
Who knows?
Maybe like a lower end team that's got a superstar or no way that's leading the league and can help the IceDogs out. So we'll see.
Everybody wants to talk about, they only have 4 cards left. So, always love the croutons on Twitter.
5.
Whatever. 4 or 5.
5, 4.
Regardless. I think they used one on Valdemar William Hall, but I don't even know. I can't keep track of it right now, but according to everybody else, they're the experts, right? So we'll let them decide what the IceDogs do with their last few cards, but they still got 3/4 of a season left here. So let's relax here a little bit with opinions on making more moves and whatnot. But yeah, I just found that funny about the Jason Robertson part, and Hosang and Robertson, 2 great all-time IceDogs. Jason Robertson doing great for the Dallas Stars right now in the NHL, and pretty sure he's on your fantasy team, so definitely no bias there for you taking him. But
hey, he's a good fantasy player.
Hey, I've got.
He just so happens to be a former IceDog.
I've got Verhaeghe though, so shout out to him. But Kyle, let's move on. Landon Cato, we did this segment during pregame in Ottawa. Again, this was before the firing of head coach Daniel Fitzgerald. So again, some of the questions might be a little bit, outdated considering, what the decision that was made. But let's get into episode 2 of Captain Cato's Corner with the defenseman of the Niagara IceDogs, Landon Cato. Joined on the second episode of Captain Cato's Corner with the captain of the Niagara IceDogs, Landon Cato. Landon, what's going on with the team lately?
Yeah, we're on a road stint right now. We have 2 games. We're in Kingston last night, Ottawa today. Guys we're bonding now. Like, we're getting a lot closer as a team. Like, the games that we know we should win, and kind of like games that guys, the refs throw out kind of thing. And I don't know, the guys have been working hard. They've been trying a lot of things that we need to keep details on and keep working on, and just to better our game as a whole. But honestly, I think the guys, despite the losses, I think the guys are still high spirits, and I think we're ready for the game tonight. It's a big test. I just think guys in our dressing room, they know what they need to do. We all know what we need to do, and I think sooner or later it's going to come together. It's just about bonding and becoming a team, and I think as soon as it comes together, it's going to be something to watch out for.
Been on, a long road trip here. You had the 3 games, the North Bay, Sudbury, Sioux trip, and now you're back again with Kingston, Ottawa. What has it been like to kind of have more of these road trips to kind of get to know each other on and off the ice? Like, has it been kind of fun to get to know each other, and anything funny going on the bus, and just trying to build that camaraderie?
Yeah, I think we've done a pretty good job at that. Like, every time we get a chance to hang out with the team, like, we're doing something with the team. I think our coaches have made it clear that that's like the biggest thing for us right now is becoming close as a team and doing them as much as we can to gel together and to just be one for each other. You saw Rebo last night; he answered the bell. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that. Like, guys are now buying in, and we really want to play for each other, and so I think it's going to end up well.
It was just Halloween. Anything interesting that you guys did to celebrate Halloween? Did you guys get together, or anything fun with that? Did anybody dress up, or anything funny you want to talk about that you can talk about from Halloween?
Yeah, no, we kept it pretty low key this year. A couple of boys got together, and we tried keeping it low key. There wasn't much we could do. I think we had like either a game the night before that night, or we played the next day or something. So the guys all went over to one guy's house and kind of had chips, pizza, and just hung out, watched a scary movie. We went to Smile in the movie theaters, and that was pretty scary, yeah. So it was like guys are drawing smiley faces all over the dressing room now, trying to scare guys, yeah. So, yeah, that was pretty good. That got us closer for sure. And I think, like I know every Tuesday we've committed to doing something as a team, whether it be we go watch a movie or just chill in someone's basement. Every Tuesday we do something as a team, just really trying to build that camaraderie and build the team-like mentality in this room, because like as I said earlier, like we have the team on paper. It's just whether or not we can buy in and gel together.
Yeah. You guys play the soccer game in the pregame. Who's the best at that? Like, I assume Zito thinks he's good because he's Italian. I mean, I know him. It's in our blood. We're good soccer players. But, like, who's the best and who's the worst at that soccer game you guys play?
Yeah. You know what? Actually, most of the Italians on our team aren't very good at soccer. Like, Castle doesn't play sewer at all. He used to play soccer pretty high level, actually. So he kind of opted out of playing sewer. I'm not sure why. But Rodwin Denisio is probably the most skilled guy I've ever seen with a soccer ball. Like, he's able to do everything. Like, me and him will go back at each other in the dressing room. Like we'll play for 30 minutes after practice, just seeing who can beat who. And me and him, honestly, I'm not gonna pump my tires, but I think me and him are probably the 2 best out there. I know DJ thinks he's really good, but he's an overager, so he gets 2 lives. So it's pretty easy when you get 2 lives in that game. So.
Yeah. Lastly, can you talk about, you brought Keenan, he's been here for about a month or so now, and then Valdemar William Hall. How do you think that those guys are kind of fitting into the culture here?
Yeah, Halsey got his first point last night. He looked me off the one-timer, so it was kind of good that he got the point, because I would have been giving it to him if I didn't get that shot off. But no, it was good to see. Like, he was happy. I think that's what it builds. Like, seeing different guys every night get points instead of the same guys, that's how guys start building confidence. And in this league, the biggest thing is for sure confidence. So, yeah, like, Halsey's been a huge part. He's been grinding, hitting. He does everything, really. And then Keener, of course, skates like no one else. Like, kid has legs of a horse on him, and he's just been great back there. I think our defense core is going to drive this team towards the end of the year for sure. I think we have a lot of guys back there. We're pretty solid back there, and once we start figuring out and gelling and figuring out the systems, I think it's going to be something to watch for sure.
And lastly, for yourself, I know you're really happy to get back in the lineup. The last time we spoke to you, you were still out of the lineup. How has it been kind of getting you back going and, working your way back in the lineup and, logging big minutes for the club as the captain?
Yeah, it's good to be out there again. It's always tough missing games for injury, and the biggest thing, talk to my training staff, talk to the coaches, the biggest thing was just being ready. I think we figured out at this point that I'm ready to go and kind of just play my game again. So like last night, I know it wasn't probably the best outcome, but I think as a team, I don't think we played too bad, and I think that those games are going to start flipping for us, and we're going to end up getting the benefit of the doubt most nights once we do start putting in those little details and stuff. So it's been great to get back in the locker room, and this is what we do it for. Like, getting back as a team is terrible to be injured, but this is all we do it for, is getting back in that lineup. So yeah, I'm more than pumped and ready to play for Niagara and build this year up.
The captain of the Niagara IceDogs, Landon Cato, on the second installment of Cato's Corner. Landon, thanks a lot. Talk again soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Kyle, let's get the funny stuff out of the way. Castle apparently opted out of sewer because he's a ringer in soccer. Go ahead and you chirped me off air, and like I couldn't even respond to it when I asked Cato about Zito being a good soccer player because it's in our blood as Italians. You can go ahead and just.
And I was like, too bad he couldn't make the World Cup this year. Oh, Brett.
Sure, thanks for that, Kyle. At least Canada.
Yeah, but hey, you can cheer on Team Canada and Alphonso Davies this year.
Yeah, but
against Belgium, and they're gonna get pumped by Belgium.
Yeah. I did like how he said, though, every Tuesday they try to do something as a team. I found that really interesting, and it's good. They're really trying to build that camaraderie. It's not like they're just saying it. They're really trying to emphasize it on and off the ice.
Yeah, when he's saying that now, like, the team's coming together as of late as a team, and they're really gonna to try to work at it and, like he said, buy in and turn things around. So that's some good insight from the captain of the Niagara IceDogs, that at least the locker room morale right now is up and everyone believes in themselves and that they can get out of this rut, which is fantastic. But another great episode of Cato's Corner. Cannot wait for the future with this segment. It's always entertaining to hear from our pal Landon Cato, and shout out to his dad B Cat, who listens to all our episodes and our #1 fan.
He was our first fan, yeah.
Fan.
He started the whole dad's trend.
Yeah.
But
He's the first dad. Yeah.
There was something in there that he mentioned. Oh yeah, Rebo fought on Friday. And it seemed like he injured his hand. I did ask former head coach now, Daniel Fitzgerald, about that. He said that Rebo is looking like day-to-day right now. He wasn't in the lineup on Saturday because, he hurt his hand in the fight, so that's why they were down to 5D, including Denicio not being in the lineup, with having to wait for the pending suspension and things like that. But, hopefully they'll be back this week with a full lineup, which is not something that we've seen from them this year. Even last year it was difficult to even, be able to ice 12 forwards and 6D. Just seems like it's this team, more than any team I've seen in the league, is it's had such a hard time getting a full lineup out on the ice. And it's just like, it's almost comical at this point how often it's happened, and I feel so bad for those guys. It's just, they've been very unlucky with, injury, suspensions, just things happening.
It's tough to build chemistry. It's really tough when you have different line mates every game, when it happens more often than not. So, it's a shame. And then hopefully we can lose the injury / suspension bug, I'll call it, soon.
Yeah. So let's look ahead to this week, Kyle. We got Saginaw coming in and Michael Misa on Thursday, and then playing in Guelph on Friday with a expected huge snowstorm coming and blasting through southern Ontario and western New York. We'll see how that affects any of the games this week. But, 2 more games for the IceDogs here, Kyle. And, the IceDogs sitting there right now, 10th place in the Eastern Conference. Guelph, surprisingly, is the only team that's worse than them right now in all of the Ontario Hockey League. As a team coming into the season was projected as a top 10 overall team, they're sitting last place in the West and last place overall. So If you're the Ice Dogs here, I think that you really think that this is an opportunity here for a bounce back week, and realistically, you can say that they could pick up 4 points this week.
Yes, they can beat both. I know Saginaw is where they are, third place in the Western Conference. They're on a 4-0 streak. They're 7-3 in their last 10, a very non-penalized team. But the Ice Dogs can, if they really want to bounce back and start things off with this new interim coach era and get things going, and, as we heard from Cato, they really believing in and trying to buy in here, you need you need to get out of this rut. If there's ever an opportunity to bounce back and get out of this rut, it's these two games right here, especially against Guelph, who are down there with you. You can easily, I know it's probably going to be a very competitive game, but I think you can easily pounce on this opportunity to beat a worse team than you. And then you can beat a team like Saginaw, who I know are in third place, but you beat
them
that
already.
they could have beaten Ottawa, but things went like they did. But this team can do it, and I think they will be able to do it, and they should be able to pull out 4 points out of these two games. Yes, we're facing an exemptional status player like Michael Misa. Yes, it is an unfortunate situation that we had the best lottery odds, and we could have had Michael Misa, but we ended up not having Michael Misa, and our pick didn't even show up. So, yes, it is unfortunate. So it is a sour taste facing Michael Misa on another team, but I think the Ice Dogs can, and I'm going to say it will, get the job done. And I'm putting a guarantee. No, I truly believe they can do this. They can easily walk out with 4 points here. They have it in them to do it. And again, like I said, this is the turnaround they need to get out of this rut right here.
They've already beaten Saginaw once, so that's something that you can take the positives from that. Josh Bloom's probably going to have a big game because he's a Sabres guy. Shout out to Josh Bloom.
Wow.
But I know our buddy Juan Copeland's gonna love that one. Not a big fan, but or not a big fan of the Sabres. He loves giving it to me.
Big fan of Juan Copeland.
Yeah, fan of the show, but wasn't in the lineup this weekend. But yeah, Van Netten, the biggest Leaf fan ever. But Saginaw's a good team, like you mentioned, third place in the West. It's gonna be difficult, but I think if you're the Ice Dogs, this is a time that you need to at least get 2 points, maybe even 4 points this week, because you're on a 1-7-2 run in your last 10 games. That's not going to cut it. And again, despite how bad this has been, as of late, I know that Hamilton still has 2 games in the hand, but you're only 2 points out of a playoff spot right now because, it's still early enough where, Ottawa's 15-1. You're probably not going to catch them, but, I mean, who is right now? But, again, 8 teams make it out of the 10 in the Eastern Conference, so all you got to do is get past at least 2 teams, and then, whatever happens in the playoffs happens, but at least you get there. So, if you're the Ice Dogs, you can see playing against 2 Western Conference teams this week after, not a good stretch against the Eastern Conference. But you're back at home, at least on Thursday after a 5-game road stint. And I know that's not easy, Kyle, going on the road for 5 games like that and coming back. But I think they're going to be rejuvenated. They've got, like you mentioned, the new interim coach in there. He's going to obviously have some new things he's going to implement. He can't implement everything new, but there's going to be something that he's going to bring in there, but I think the guys need to have, a bounce-back effort and show that they're still invested in this team and they know that this team can still, be a playoff competitive team like Darren DeDobler had expected them to be coming in this year with all the moves that he made.
Exactly. No, you nailed it right in the head.
So, Kyle, anything before we wrap up today? I know it's been a long-winded episode, but a lot to talk about.
A few things, I guess, more
housekeeping
fan and housekeeping things. 2 things from the Ice Dogs, guys. So the Ice Dogs are actually teamed up with the SPCA right now, and they're doing a donation drive in support of the Niagara SPCA. So leading up to December 8th right now, you can bring in donations for the SPCA to the Ice Dogs office between Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Once you bring in this donation to them, you will receive a $2 ticket voucher redeemable for any home game before the new year. So bring in that donation for the SPCA. They have a link on their Twitter account or probably their main page of a wish list that you can bring for that donation drive, and then you can get a $2 Niagara Ice Dog ticket voucher for that. Also, the Ice Dogs, LETR, and Special Olympics are teaming up to raise funds for awareness. In Niagara Regional Police are teaming up to raise awareness about the importance of individuals with intellectual disability during an upcoming IceDogs game. That actually will be this Thursday's game at the Meridian Center. There will be a kiosk so fans can learn more about the Special Olympics, public address announcements about Special Olympics Ontario. There'll be a Pass the Bucket donation collection, and there'll also be a ceremonial puck drop for this Thursday's game as well. So great night, and I love to see it. And then there's still tickets available, guys, starting at $15. Just call the box office and get tickets down. Always fun to get down to Meridian Center, watch our boys go, and try to get out of this rut. And then this Thursday being Special Olympics night at the Meridian Center.
IceDogs do a great job with that, with honoring, different organizations and groups and things like that. Teddy Bear Toss is coming up November 26th as well, so
can't wait for that.
That's always a fun night to see if I can actually.
You gonna hit the ice this time?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can I actually reach the ice this time? I've been 0 for 2 so far.
I had a perfect spiral last year. I'm just saying, not to toot my own horn, but my spiral got on the ice. It was beautiful. You know what's funny though? It's watching people throw it from behind the mesh.
Yeah, and the one bear got stuck behind the net mesh.
All the players are throwing pucks and stuff trying to get it.
Maybe you've got a better throw than Mac Jones for your Patriots, but
one day.
Yeah, it's okay. I chirped your Leafs last week, so I got to chirp the Patriots this week. Anyways, guys, I'm sure Pano won't like that. But that's going to wrap it up for today's Dog Pound podcast episode. Again, a lot to get into there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this week in IceDogs history and Captain Cato's Corner. Hopefully next week we'll have a talk with the new interim head coach. Maybe we'll figure out if we can talk to Rick Wamsley and figure out what our next move will be with that. But regardless, guys, thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Make sure, if you like the video version of the podcast, hit that like, hit subscribe, smash that bell icon for all updates on the videos that get released on the channel. And make sure you're following us at Dog Pound Podcast and on social media at the Armchair GM Sports Network. So until next week, guys, my name is Brandon Caputo for Kyle Aikett, and this has been the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Go, I was going to say bark, 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 go dogs, go, but we actually have something to close out the show today. So go dogs, go, and we'll leave you guys with this. You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.